Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Crashers podcast. This is a date that is July 27th. I hope I checked the date correctly. I do have to double check because I forget.
It's Friday the 13th.
Or something. I am Angelus de Mortiel, joined once again by GloriousKev.
Praise Lisa Sue!
I didn't tell him that he's still muted. Xaiphen Up is also still here.
Hey, you ain't got no camera, you don't exist.
Alright, I'm going back to Gears.
And Lila Rose.
Greetings.
Kev, of course, is talking a whole bunch of shit about playing Gears, being good at Gears by beating console players when he has a mouse and keyboard.
It's not a fair competition.
I mean that's not really something to brag about.
I was using a controller though.
Sure.
I was using my DualShock 4.
Sure you were, Kev.
Now, actually, if Gears feels better on a controller.
Yeah, but if you don't got that gyro aim, it ain't shit.
I don't like gyro aim.
That's called that Steam controller master race.
Oh yeah?
PlayStation's had gyro aims. It's the PS3.
Well, I know it's had the 6-axis. I never knew anybody bothered to implement the gyro for aiming.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody has.
The Killzone's been good about it, actually. Especially the original.
Well, good for Killzone. That's one person that's actually been thoughtful about it.
Yeah. The rest of it's bad. On a positive
I just don't like gyro aiming in general, though. It's awkward. I don't want to be throwing my hands around and doing jumping jacks and shit. Just to aim.
Kev, you were siphoning it up.
He's siphoning up the situation.
No, gyro aim is...
That's the way we do it here.
Just little motions. That's all it takes. It's the fine-tune aiming.
I think you missed the exaggeration.
I can't see it, so, you know.
I don't think he did. I really don't.
Okay, just plug in my DualShock 4, turn on DS for Windows.
Well,
have at it.
On a positive note, last night I started watching The Boys on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime is great.
That is... I kind of like the fact that it's more or less making direct fun of Disney. And not making fun of, it's a subversive look at Disney. Essentially, superheroes really exist, but they're totally corporate owned, like corporate marketed movies, action figures. Spaceballs the flamethrower. The kids really love that one. It's fantastic. And
I'm just
gory
waiting for them
as
to come out.
Well, you know damn well Disney.
I'm waiting for Disney to come out with Spaceball and it be, Disney's answer to Space Jam. They're gonna have Mickey Mouse.
Nobody wants to remember Space Jam, Kev. Stop bringing it up.
Yeah.
Oh no! You guys didn't know? LeBron James is gonna be in Space Jam too.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Because if you guys didn't know by his number, LeBron James wants to be everything.
Regretted it before they rapped.
Yeah. But LeBron James wants to be everything that is Michael Jordan, including doing all the movies that Michael Jordan did. Just everything he can to be Michael Jordan.
Next we get Space Jam. Next we get Space Jam the baseball. I mean,
yeah, he's gonna play baseball next. You just wait. He's gonna play some baseball
and do badly at it because that's how it works.
Because he's got to be just like Michael Jordan, so he's got to be bad at baseball.
Michael Jordan, he was looking at like.
How's LeBron being like Michael Jordan? What did I miss?
Michael Jordan played baseball for a little while.
No, I said how was LeBron like Michael Jordan?
No, he wants to be Michael Jordan. That's the.
I'm saying I'm curious what he did to get that accusation.
Well,
he went to the Bulls. I mean,
yeah,
I have nothing to back up being that much of a smartass.
That was the whole thing about being number 23, right? Everybody kind of made when LeBron first went pro, they made a stink because he was number 23, and everybody was like, "Oh, you can't be that." Like, no one fucking cares, dude. It's a number. But since then, there's been that comparison of them that he's the next Michael Jordan.
Everybody compared him to Magic Johnson because he's 6'8" and was a point guard.
I don't know, Kev. I
know.
Listen.
That's why I'm giving you shit about it.
Being in Northeast Ohio during the time whenever he went pro, there was a lot of comparisons to Michael Jordan. Not saying they were good comparisons.
I recall of it all of it being compared to Magic Johnson, because Magic was 6'9", he's 6'8", playing point guard.
Yeah. In any case, though,
if you're a point guard and you're taller than 6'3", you're Magic Johnson apparently.
Yeah. Well, in any case, though, there is the fun of the boys. Like I said, great, amazing show so far. The best part is the downsides of having super speed is that if you don't happen to get out of the way of a person standing in the street at a time, when you're going that fast, mass interacting at that speed is very interesting. Namely, if you impact a person that's standing on the street, they just vaporize.
It's referred to as a relativistic weapon. A railgun is known as a relativistic weapon.
Yeah. So that was
it's barely fast enough for that, but yeah, that disintegrates shit.
Like I said, that show is not for children. It's not child friendly by any stretch of the imagination, and it is definitely it is throwing a lot of shade at the superhero kind of fad that's going on right now, which I kind of like. I'm really enjoying that. I recommend everybody. That and Carl Urban is hilarious because Carl Urban is playing a British guy.
Oh jeez. Oh, that can't be good.
There's nothing that
is he actually doing a good job at it, or is he James Doohan?
He's all right. He's all right at times, but there's nothing that made my day more than hearing Carl Urban say, "Bob's your uncle."
I'm just thinking he's got to be better than
Kev left.
Lost Kev. He's got to be better than James.
I was having audio trouble, so I
fixed
it. We're good. I fixed my audio trouble.
Gotcha. But yeah, in any case, yes, Bob's your uncle. You know, that's how it goes.
Isn't the best part of The Boys the exclusivity? I also exclusives make things better.
Oh yeah, no. Oh. Let's not criticize the fact. So listen, true story. I may not actually pay for Amazon Prime.
It's okay, I pay for it.
How do you steal Amazon Prime?
That's not stealing.
Please share your secrets.
I'm not stealing it.
Damn it.
It's just somebody else is paying for it.
I let the guilt fall on another person for paying money to Amazon. Probably next to Disney as the heart of all evil.
It's a toss up because I don't pay for Hulu either, so.
Yeah, which is owned by Disney.
Which is owned by Disney.
Yeah, so See, I'm giving money.
For Hulu, I'm
giving
for Netflix, and I'm paying for Amazon Prime.
So I'm giving money to the number one evil in the world, which is Disney.
Comcast?
And Xaiphen's giving money to the number two evil in the universe, which is Amazon. So between the two of us, we are funding.
Oh, but aren't you both giving money to Comcast?
No,
pretty sure they're more evil than that.
No, and Comcast isn't. There's levels. Comcast wants to think they're in Disney or Amazon's league. They ain't fucking close.
I don't know. I think Comcast is
I don't think you realize just the scale of companies like Amazon or Disney. Comcast ain't got shit. No, Google even ain't got shit on Amazon or Disney.
Oh, shout out to Google though, because when they asked about Stadia, what happens to our games if Stadia goes offline?
Oh God!
We understand that the cloud is scary, but it is the future, and you'll love it. But what'll happen to my game?
I heard that shit. I heard that shit, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Is that really your answer?" We understand the cloud is gonna be scary, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, don't do that." Don't.
They basically said we're going in dry, no lube, deal with it.
That was definitely
that was the nail in the coffin for Stadia for me.
That was a low point. Well, the fact that they expect ISPs to update their fucking data caps when Google has been
their whole
railing
infrastructure.
against ISPs for years now.
Yeah, I remember I brought that story and then didn't come to the podcast, but brought that story where they say, yeah, the ISPs are going to cater to us.
Yeah, no, we talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah, I remember. I just couldn't come.
Yeah, Kev wasn't here for that. We talked about it in his absence. And
I brought up the story, and then couldn't come at the last second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In any case, though, moving on to more fun topics on there, I would like to say that we successfully kept Rose from dying in delivering her large shipment of
by
mining
void
stuff.
opals. Yep.
I gave enough deaths and gears to make up for it. It's okay.
Yeah. Kev is out there playing Gears. The rest of us are all playing Elite Dangerous. Apparently, though, the great statistic, for all of you who don't know, this month alone, Kev has played 770 hours of games. I just want to point that out.
Most of it's been Total War.
Yeah, 770.
Three Kingdoms is addicting.
Never mind the fact that there's only 730 hours maximum in a month. Kev has managed to play 770 hours of games, and the month isn't even over. He's still got a few days left.
Now wait a minute. What about you with some 2,000 hours?
2,200 hours? Like, makes sense if you don't.
That's almost as many hours as I have into Warframe over 4.5 years.
Yeah, I played 2,200 hours in the past month. By the way, GOG Galaxy 2.0 might have a bug where it imports your playtime from the other platforms that you signed into it from, and then it kind of truncates that into the entire playtime hours. I'm pretty certain
automatically
that's the bug.
think of the movie Dodgeball. Where are we going to get $120,000? No, you don't add them together.
Yeah. But no, that's what essentially what I think happened is that it said, oh, you have 1,400 hours in Warframe, you have 400 hours in Total War, etc. And then it said, oh, you've got 2,200 hours played. It's not really how it works. But the scarier one is if you go in there and look at the total hours, because that's when you really see how depressing our life is. With Rose racking in a whopping 9,000 hours of playtime. I'm not far behind with 8,000, so I can't really criticize a whole lot.
I think Rose's is accurate.
Yeah, that lifetime hours is actually accurate. That's just taking the consolidated playtime from all of your games, from all of your platforms, putting them into one. The monthly stat isn't accurate, but the lifetime is. It's essentially it's grabbing my.
But Xaiphen says 0, so I mean we know
because he doesn't have GOG 2.0.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was because he had a life.
No, he's actually a Time Lord. He manages to game infinite amount of time, but it only takes up 0 minutes. That's why.
Well, if you weren't aware,
Teach me your ways. Praise Xaiphen.
I'm 196 years old.
Yeah, he's
Looks pretty good, don't I?
Yeah. He actually. So here's the thing. He actually exists on a asteroid body that's on the event horizon of a black hole. So for every minute that he's there, it's like 50 years for us. So
that's why I'm so tall. You don't realize this right now, but I'm about 172 feet long at this moment.
you just get the gravity crushes you to the point where you look like you're 6'2". Yeah.
Spaghettification.
Yeah.
But you can tell us when the Reapers are coming. That's what's important.
No, he's the one. He's at the one place that's safe from the Reapers.
I'm gonna point and laugh.
Yeah.
Because the truth is the Reapers couldn't get close to a black hole. They can only use mass effect fields so much whenever it starts having adverse effects against a singularity. Man, this has suddenly turned into the astrophysics podcast, everyone.
First we were ESPN, and now we're astrophysics. Can we make up our fucking minds?
No, we just grab
Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson as a guest on here.
Or even Kyle Hill.
Kyle Hill, that would
when
be
I started playing Mario Maker, because God, Galaxy 2.0 says I've been playing it with others. And I haven't had a Switch in like 8 months. I haven't had a console in like 8 months.
Yeah. Astrophysics for the win. Yes, exactly. Well, in any case,
it's a fun pastime.
As fun as astrophysics is, we don't always get to have that much fun because we have to talk about all of the how stupid people are.
Bruce Winder!
As much as we would love to just sit here and talk about astrophysics, sadly we're not astrophysicists and we know nothing really about it. The Reapers and Mass Effect fields obviously don't actually exist, and it's all space magic that the Mass Effect game uses to hand wave away a lot of challenges that physics presents.
Just praise Swinderp.
On that note, let's talk about China. Hey guys. Guys like China?
My grandma used to hit me for touching her China.
I'm not a fan of China, but they're actually doing some good shit right now. In the gaming realm. Should specify that, but they're still pretty crummy as a country.
One specific aspect.
That's racist. I don't know why it's racist. It just is.
So Rose, why don't you introduce the story and tell us why they're give us the breakdown.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So China, in their infinite wisdom, has decided that there needs to be regulations on games, specifically anti-gambling and anti-addiction regulations that needed to be implemented. So much so that it's Fortnite, I believe. I can't remember the game they said, but there's a game.
It's specific. I think the main one they cite is League of Legends. I want to say because Riot's owned by Tencent. So
yeah, it's either that or it's another game that is notorious in the USA for loot boxes.
WoW, I think, yeah, WoW also has some sort of, I think, thing on it too in China.
Yeah. So what they've done is they've implemented, if you're a certain age, and it might actually be more, I wasn't able to find more information on this, but it is that if you play more than 2 hours, it actually kicks you out of the game. So that's 2 hours per day.
Yep.
So,
I'd be screwed.
And how Rose? How does it know your age?
Because the government knows everything there, and you sign your soul to the devil when you're Chinese.
There. The government knows everything here too.
It's mainly that in China, your video game accounts have to be tied to your actual ID. There's a special ID system that they have in there that essentially you tie in what amounts to your Chinese version of a social security number to your video game account, and it uses that to verify your age and also track if you say something mean to somebody online or if you whisper the words Winnie the Pooh. By the way, guys, we just got banned in China.
We've been banned in China.
Yeah, you mentioned Winnie the Pooh, and then they come knocking down your door.
Podcast basis.
I thought they didn't like me after all of the murder I did in Three Kingdoms. I murdered a lot of Chinese people.
There's that
Total
too.
war.
Have you racist?
Yeah. Hey, is it racist when you hate everyone equally?
I mean, semantically, no.
Yeah, I hate everyone
realistically,
equally.
yeah.
But I hate everyone.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's a clever statement I heard somebody come up with a while ago. I'm not racist. I hate everybody equally given the opportunity.
So that's basically what I'm saying.
To Cassork in the chat that asks, what's the Winnie the Pooh thing? So essentially there's a... It's not a joke so much really anymore, but essentially the president of China, and when I say president, know that in this particular instance, president means dictator because he is not
Benevolent dictator.
he is no longer an elected official. He is an
Mhm.
instituted dictator that has a lifelong term. So when I say president, know that I mean dictator. But President
Benevolent
Xi Jinping of China apparently has. There's some comparison that he gets made to Winnie the Pooh, and it pisses him off to no end, to the point where a game that made mention of that joke of him being compared to Winnie the Pooh had their business license stripped and forced to shut down.
Mhm.
This is China, by the way.
There's also been rumors of people disappearing for flagrantly,
Yeah.
Sharing
Like-
stuff of Winnie the Pooh, even if it is not comparing directly to him. It can
Yeah.
just say, somebody can say Winnie the Pooh, and that's it. Person's disappeared.
Winnie the Pooh
Yeah.
is essentially anathema in China because of that joke on there. So whenever I say, "Oh, Winnie the Pooh," oh, we just got banned in China.
It's
two
like
parts of
somebody
that.
talking about Trump's tiny hands, except he can actually legally kill you for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people think things are bad with Trump, you have no idea. So in any case, though, yeah.
It
so
can always get worse. Remember that.
yeah. So here's the
I
thing:
don't
is
want to
that
remember that.
I like the fact that China has at least taken some kind of stance on gambling, and I kind of like that. But
I hate this.
I'm a big individualist, right? I think that people and being an individualist, I'm big on personal responsibility, right? So when it comes to managing your playtime, and say you're a child, there's a stipulation for that. But when it comes to managing your playtime, if you're a child and you don't know any better, same thing with gambling, the onus should be on the parents who have the personal responsibility to, if they want to regulate their child's playtime and video games, or if they want to regulate their access to gambling because of the negative impacts of it, they should be able to do that, and that should be their choice. I would prefer they have all the information, know that gambling can lead to very bad neurological disorders, and that excessive playtime can also cause neurological disorders, and give them all the facts. But ultimately, it's their choice. Whereas China says, you know what? We don't believe the people in our country are smart enough to do anything for themselves. So we have to tell them everything to do. Oh, you need to shit? You shit at 8:15 a.m. And you can do it from 8:15 until 8:25. After that, you have to get
A
off the
10-minute
toilet.
shit?
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
on and off, quick, 10 minutes. That's it, in and out.
So what if I need 11?
Too bad.
You're fucked.
Get the fuck off. At that point they
Break
electrify
it
the
off and
toilet
move
seat.
on.
They-
You drink your toilet, goddamn.
By the way, that's not actually a thing, but I'm just saying that
Okay.
like there in my belief
You're a child of China.
Yeah. In my belief, though, is that it is a demonstrable in biology that the more someone is able to act on their own, make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, the stronger that person becomes mentally, physically, etc. So whenever you handhold and coddle someone like a government like China does to their people, the people there become mentally and physically weaker, which is, to me, in my mind,
want.
going off of that, is exactly what the Chinese government wants. They want a weak, docile populace that is wholly dependent on the government, so they don't ever question the status quo.
Right.
I'm getting
So,
super
I was like,
political
I
in
need
this podcast.
I need to become God of China.
That's Xi Jinping. Yeah, he's the god of China, the god king of China,
God, King. I mean, is there really
emperor, whatever,
King
But I'd like
Dingling?
to
We
bring
did it.
up-
That bitch in charge.
I'd like to bring up on the flip side, they're actually making regulations and taking a hands-on approach for some of the things that we've complained about on this podcast, with no regulation on the gaming community, and actually saying loot boxes and putting limits on times. I mean, granted, I'm not a fan of the limits on times. I'd be fucked. I'd be kicked out of
But
Elite Dangerous
that's only
too
for
quick.
kids, right? The time limit
Right.
is not for adults. The adults can technically play games all they want. That's only for minors. That
But
has that time limit.
But
I
again,
mean, they should only have that
especially
time limit.
yeah, but especially for the loot boxes, since they've labeled those as gambling, they've done what none of the other Western countries are willing to do.
Let you have rights?
No,
Well-
my thing is, and Rose may not have heard my spiel multiple times late last year when I was giving it, but my thing on loot boxes isn't that they shouldn't exist. My thing with loot boxes is that they need to be labeled as gambling because they are. Stop with this whole, oh, surprise mechanics. No, they're fucking gambling. Regulate them as gambling. Restrict them to adults only. You know, post up warnings and disclosures that the game contains gambling. Here's some links and resources for help if you have an addiction or you know someone that has an addiction. Those sorts of things. Give people tools to make decisions for themselves. The
And I'd
problem,
like to state that I disagree with that. I just want to kill all the loot boxes.
yeah, and that's
See,
fine.
I'm fine with loot boxes. It's just like you were saying, make it so that it's clearly labeled and make it adult only.
Fuck loot boxes.
I
Make
mean,
a
I don't
god.
mind them in fucking Overwatch because they have no say on the gameplay. You just get a fancy skin, that's it. End of story.
Well, okay, so if you're talking like an Overwatch, right? So this is something that I've combated against. The whole, oh, it's only cosmetics, is not an accurate portrayal. Oh my god, a little tiny spider dangling in front of my face. Anyway,
He wants to be your friend.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you've had a couple spiders the past couple of days.
I don't know.
Don't you
I
bunnies
think
eat
it was the
spiders?
same one, and he's just been very clever at dodging me. So in any
I
case,
thought,
though,
I thought bunnies ate spiders.
yeah, no.
I don't know what bunnies eat.
No, you don't. Apparently. In any case, though, with the whole it's only cosmetic argument, right? The problem with that is that mentally it's not, because what is your progression? What reason do you have to keep going in Overwatch? Yes, there are
beat
some
scrubs.
people. There are some people who are driven by just purely getting better at the game. But most people want something tangible and measurable to mark their success in the game. So,
I just want to smack scrubs.
and there's also a certain social environment where, depending on the skin you have, determines kind of this quasi-social status, right? Oh, you got this super rare skin for so-and-so. And I'm not actually joking on that. For Fortnite, I can't remember what it is.
I mean,
if
that's
it's
real life too, though.
if it's
If you have a
default
default,
or
the kids
something
make
like
fun of
that,
you.
I think default is becoming a pejorative in high schools now because of Fortnite. Essentially
Elementary schools.
Huh?
It's elementary schools. It's
Elementary
bad.
schools. Yeah, like
Yeah, my son was
essentially
telling me about it. It's actually pretty bad. And
Yeah.
that's kind of real life too. Depending on what kind of skin you have, people are going to feel a certain way about you.
yeah, that's not the same thing, Kev. That's a very, very different topic, and there's a lot more to unpack from that one. I'm just meaning that, like, the culture... Now, with Fortnite, to be fair, those are not loot boxes. Those are direct buy skins, as far as I understand. But the point is that skins, and cosmetic only, is not a justification for having unregulated and undisclosed gambling in a game.
I wasn't saying that it was. I was
Yeah.
saying, like, if it's an adult only game, yeah, they can keep those loot boxes. It's just don't sell the game to kids. Market as adult only.
Yep.
But that doesn't stop parents from buying the game for their
Oh,
kids.
and you know what? That's fine. But here's the thing: is that adults only. If it got ESRB followed their regulations and put every game with loot boxes in an adults only category, that would be such a fucking Like we've talked about how AO, the restrictions that AO has on sales.
Oh yeah.
Like can't be
It's basically
advertised.
porn.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's the place regulated for porn, and that's also where gambling games go. Like the real like poker, World Series poker, and like Casino Royale gambling,
Mhm.
the actual gambling games. Those ones are
Yeah.
regulated as adults only. You can't advertise for them on most websites. You can't have them
So-
on store shelves, etc.
They're basically like
Those
cigarette
ones get
ads.
regulated as gambling, but the loot boxes and other games not. What's the standout on those other than emulating real life gambling?
Oh no, the great one. Let's talk about GTA 5's gambling. You guys,
Oh, I heard
hear
about
about
that
that? They
I
have
heard
a,
a
Yeah.
little bit about it.
they have a
actual
casino
in the
mode
game.
where you can actually spend real money to gamble in a casino. It's not gambling though, guys. It's surprise mechanics.
It is
So
surprising,
in any
but
case, no.
you're
Going back
surprised
to
that your kids drained your bank account.
yeah. So surprise, motherfucker.
Didn't-
You got no money. But
Didn't they have-
what Xaiphen said, why are those games considered gambling and loot box or whatever or not? That's because the ESRB, the ESA, mind you, the ESA who runs and owns and runs the ESRB is just a conglomeration of the big publishers. Yeah. That's why I keep telling people, oh, it's pretty much like letting a drug addict in a room full of drugs and telling them to stay
What, you mean
clean.
they can't self-regulate?
Yeah, the self-regulating a corporation is a horrible idea. But in any case, and
But
we've
the
gone over that
ISPs
before.
can self-regulate.
We've got-
Oh.
Yeah, we've gone over this before. This is a rehash topic, so I'm not gonna go
Yeah.
deep into it. The big thing
Rehash.
Smart-ass
the
about shit.
big thing is that the ESA and the ESRB have fought very much to keep loot boxes and those sorts of randomized microtransactions out of the gambling conversation, because let's be honest, I don't know the exact figures, but I'd be willing to bet that it is probably a significant majority of the big box publishers' revenue is coming from some form of gambling. You talk about EA making probably at least 60 to 70% of their earnings come from the Ultimate Teams and their other loot box gambling forms. I guarantee you. Blizzard, I know in 2017 made over $1 billion in loot boxes from Overwatch.
Let's make it a little bigger. American corporations are profiting purely on addiction.
Yeah.
A lot.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just gambling.
And
Like,
that's
look at
not just
cigarette
gambling. Yeah.
companies, Look at soda companies, sugar companies. You
Yep.
know, they get you hooked on whatever it is, however they can.
Yeah, and that's
Get all your money. It's like it's not just gaming. Like it's a
All of
big thing. Yeah, it's everything.
Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, if we really want to dig in deep, a lot of the reason why they're so prevalent goes back to whenever the advertising industry boom started. I'd say probably into the 70s and 80s, where essentially, something occurred to me the other day where every time I feel like it should be banned for a commercial to have any sort of advertising shtick where they have to have fine print disclosing counter points to what's being shown in the commercial. If you have to have fine print, you are being deceptive. There's no in between there. You shouldn't be doing that ad. If you have to have fine print, if you have to say,
I mean, is it like the diabetes ad that says, "Hey, you only have to poke yourself once a week, and we're gonna go over about 2 minutes of side effects that are probably gonna kill you in a 3-minute spot."
My favorite one is oh, hey, this antidepressant may make you more depressed. It's a crapshoot. It's
This antidepressant could help you out, but it has a tendency to lead to suicide.
yeah, it's
Wait, that got dark really fucking quick. Come on,
no,
man.
there was
This
one of them
Viagra
that said
could make your dick fall
that
off.
there was one of them that this medicine may cause please seek your doctor if you have any one of these symptoms, and one of the symptoms was death. I'm like, yes, you should really see your doctor if you're dead.
The late great Robin Williams had a spiel on side effects. One of them, the one he focused on, was anal leakage. Like, side effects are worse than the symptoms you're treating. It is a time to stop your medication.
Exactly, and that's my thing, is that when you look at how so complicated and convoluted marketing has become, it is so hard to unravel what's going on. And then given, like, you just take a simple 30-second ad spot, right, and you try to unravel all of the tricks that are being played, from the colors being used to the way that people are being presented, to the, like, music being used, the light flashes. It is like a ball, like Futurama making the joke of essentially, all right, and now back to Hypnotoad, and just like it's a screen of just a toad just with,
or the advertising for the iPhone.
Yeah,
shut up and take my money.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, is that like Hypnotoad is a great description of where advertising is. Not conspiratorial, but they have done so much psychological research into how people's brains work. Every ad you see is like this special cocktail of psychological engineering tricks to make you desire wanting something. Instead of going out and finding what people actually want, companies nowadays just market to tell you what you should buy, which to me is just backwards.
When did companies care about what you wanted?
No, they originally, the commerce like idea of capitalism is based upon supply and demand, right? Consumers demand a product, a company supplies it, and therefore the company succeeds when it makes the highest quality product. But that's not what we have right now. We don't have supply and demand. We have supply and forcing it down your throat. There's no demand for most of these products. The demand is artificial, if you will. It's kind of manipulated and coerced, and that's where I kind of have a problem.
Sony?
Yeah. Oh no, I mean just it's everywhere. This is not just fucking. This is every goddamn commercial I see.
Sony. This is Sony.
Yeah, Sony is guilty of it.
Xbox.
Microsoft, Xbox.
Yeah, I don't see it as much with Microsoft.
Oh no! You watch commercial.
Because nobody's buying an Xbox.
What do you see whenever you see a Forza commercial? You see these glorious, very crystal clear action shots of a race that you will never fucking have in that game.
And then you buy a PC.
Actual gameplay footage.
Yeah, I love that one. Actual gameplay, or no, what is it? In-game, like rendered in-game engine or something like that.
In-engine.
Yeah, in-engine. I'm like, yeah, that totally makes me believe that that's not a complete bullshit statement. Like, it's in-engine footage. Like that means
it makes it worse when people damage control it.
It's pre-rendered. It's not live rendered like an actual game is. Anyway,
but people will buy into it. Like, I'm looking at the tweet right now. This guy he put up a picture, and I like this guy. Don't go after this guy. But he put out 4 pictures of games: Final Fantasy Remake, The Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding. And said, if I didn't have a PS4 and saw these 4 games dropping in the next year, I'd be buying myself a PS4. And it's that kind of attitude. It's like these are like corporate spokespeople almost.
Yeah,
he's just a random guy on Twitter.
Well, he's afraid of missing out.
Yep.
He wants these.
I think he's just excited for I think he's just excited for those games, quite honestly.
Well, no. Here's the thing: is that so what people don't realize is that consumers, although they're being exploited and kind of conned for a lot, fear of missing out is one of the psychological tricks that get played a lot, and to an astounding degree. Like the iPhone. Oh, look at all these cool people. This hip guy has an iPhone. Don't you want one too? Fear of missing out there. Look at this great game that's on PS4. Don't you want to play that game? Like, that looks really nice. Oh, aren't you afraid of missing out on that? Like, it gets used a lot, but it's one of many advertising tactics, right?
And it works
manipulation?
extremely well.
Yes.
Meme manipulation.
FOMO is one of the most prolific advertising tactics, and it works really well. What people don't realize though is that if right now everybody literally stopped buying like a Sony product, never bought any more Sony games, and said, and put their foot down and said, I'm not buying it until you make it available on the platform I want. Sony would be like, fuck, and they would immediately make those games available. They would start, knocking down the door of Rockstar and all of their in-house studios and saying, quick, port it to all of the platforms.
Rockstar isn't the Sony-owned studio.
Whatever. Yeah, Rockstar is kind of a Sony favorable company. They always make their game first, isn't it? I don't know. Okay, maybe not Rockstar.
Konami is, I think.
Konami? Yeah.
Or Konami.
Fuck Konami, because Konami is the worst.
No, what is it? Square Enix, I think, is the one that's the real favorable to Sony company.
Yeah, Square Enix.
Both of
Square
them have
Enix and Atlas.
Tend to favor,
but in any case, my point is that people don't realize the level of power they have, that they could demand that changes be made. But instead, what is happening is that people have allowed themselves to essentially be the cattle for these giant corporations.
How many people actually care?
Well, that's the problem. People don't care, and they really should, because they're just getting walked on. Like, I mean,
when Sega died out, they didn't, or when the Sega Genesis died out, Sega didn't stop making games.
No,
But
they made more consoles.
they started making them for other platforms.
You mean when the Dreamcast died?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Genesis.
When the Dreamcast failed, because honestly, they died out with the Genesis. They tried again. Their last ditch was with the Dreamcast, and it could have done well, but it failed.
Mm-hmm.
Dreamcast.
But they still have. There's still Sega published games. But they didn't like. Oh well, you want to play Sonic, you have to get the old Dreamcast or whatever crap we come up with next. And they're like, no, we're gonna put it on another platform, because we know there's some people that really like the Sonic for some reason, and they'll buy it somewhere else if it's not available. If it's not locked into our own personal platform. And the same shit can happen with Sony. It can happen with Microsoft. It can happen with Epic.
Yeah. If no one bought an Epic exclusive game, people stopped spending money on Fortnite and said, we want all these cosmetics for free. Epic would be like, fuck guys, pack it up. It's time to go on vacation. We're done.
Because these publishing teams, or not the developers, the publishers. There's that conflation thrown around a lot. The publishers have spent the money to try and make money off of these games. Yep. They've spent money on the developers to get them made, and they realize that whatever platform they've decided to lock themselves into is not going to make that money for them. They're going to go wherever the fuck they can try and at least make up the cost that they've spent. And obviously they really want the profit too.
Yeah. But not to sidetrack a little bit, but one of the key points of the story we're talking about, I know we kind of derailed into talking about...
it doesn't take much.
Yeah, we kind of did go off track, but bringing it back to the story at hand, one of the key points of this story that we're talking about here was talking about this thing, and I've heard this discussion before, not with video games, but in other tech companies, and that's the ethics, like doing business with China starts to raise some ethical questions, right? Essentially, by kowtowing to the Chinese governmental demands to institute these policies, are these governments, or are these corporations, are they essentially ethically compromising themselves? I mean, not that they're not already, but I mean, doesn't it put them in a little bit of an awkward position when they're kowtowing to an authoritarian regime?
I mean, the thing is, they're corporations. They don't give a shit about ethics for the most part. It's about making money.
Only what they can get away with. They give a shit about ethics to the point.
Somebody has to die, and they can get away, with it, and it's profitable. Motherfuckers are gonna have to die.
Yep.
Just how corporations are.
Yep.
If children in Saudi Arabia have to die, so I can make 100 million more a year. Well, sorry, but little Sam and Julie are just gonna have to die.
You met some people in Saudi Arabia named Sam and Julie.
No, I just don't know anything about Saudi Arabia.
I feel like you might have been
A
lied
more
to.
real life example is the child labor going through injuries and deaths to make your damn iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty sure there was
In
a lot of
China.
child labor that went into my 1080 too. I appreciate
Oh no,
it.
let's talk about wasn't it was that the iPhone factory where they had so many people committing suicide that they actually had to like put in anti-suicide measures on the building?
Yes,
I think
I
so.
believe-
Yeah.
Like I heard
I
that story, I
believe
was
that
like,
was
good
out-
God, that's fucking horrific. At what point you have so many people committing suicide at your place of work that the company actually has to put in anti-suicide measures into the building? Like
Think about the poor Chinese kids that made your Xbox.
And here's the thing: is like in the U.S., like if that happens in another country, there's a little bit of stink. Happens in country, huge stink. Happens in China, radio silence.
Well, that's because radio.
I mean, within their country, radio silence, because they have control over it. That's what you get with a dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sure we'll get there in this country eventually. We're
I
gonna
mean, look like we're working on it.
We're gonna have the illusion of elected officials. We kind of already do.
I think there's the key difference between where I kind of see the United States going and where China's going is that China, their laws and their controls are based upon a political ideology of communism, right? It's authoritarian, and it's still the kind of old idea of everybody should be what is the Marxist whole thing of like everybody works according to their ability, everybody is given according to their need, or whatever, however that philosophy goes. But the point is that everybody's kind of like people aren't individuals. The populace is just this kind of gray blobless mass that has no definition to it, and nobody is treated differently from each other, and not in a good way. Like you have no individualism, you have nothing that makes you unique, which is part of the reason why China entices so many corporations to do business in China, because China isn't really innovating technologically speaking. How they get a lot of their modern technology is that they will tell a corporation from the United States or from Europe or whatever that in order to do business in China, you have to essentially like ignore IP violations. Like there is no IP law in China. Once you do that, the government has access to all of your IP. And what they do is is that, say I want to make an iPhone in China, where they set up their factories for making iPhones in China, the Chinese government controls that factory, and they start having the people there copy the processes, copy the technology and the designs, and then they spin up their own factory doing the exact same thing, only not in a deal with China, or not in a deal with Apple. So then and then they'll tell Apple, okay, go away now, we've got what we wanted. And that's the same thing that's happened with Google, that happened with Apple, that happened with, I think it was Microsoft. Like, you've had several big tech giants go over there and essentially have their IP stripped and given to the Chinese government. And I think that also happened to Motorola too, I think.
How do you think they've got the Hawaii phone or whatever it's called? Huawei. Yeah.
Huawei.
I don't know. Yeah.
That one.
I don't speak or know how they pronounce things, so.
Yeah. Huawei is even more concerning than most people realize, because it's not just their phones. Huawei is a major producer of network infrastructure, which, from what I understand, a lot of it, they strip the IP from Motorola radios and other devices. But the thing is that there is major concerns that because Huawei, like every other Chinese company, it has a stake of ownership from the Chinese government. In other words, the Chinese government has a very strong say in how those companies operate. There's big concerns of you start installing network infrastructure from Huawei, like 5G towers, for example. People got a little, oh, it's racist. Donald Trump banned Huawei from infrastructure from coming to the United States. Like, no, trust me, that was a good thing. Because if we have Huawei, the biggest manufacturer of 5G towers, suddenly gets that foothold of installing network communication towers all across the US, guess who controls our communication?
Yep. Do you fucking want Homefront the Revolution? Because that's how you fucking get Homefront the Revolution.
Or Red Dawn. Well,
basically, North Korea gets their Silicon Valley. We never get it. We buy all of our shit from North Korea. We go into debt with them, and they invade us.
Yeah,
shut down all of our warfare.
It's not far removed from the I think originally was the original Red Dawn. No, in the original Red Dawn, the Chinese people were actually our allies. It was Russia that invaded, right? And then they remade the remake. It was North Korea that invaded. But whatever the case is, China's never going to come to our aid if someone invades us. That's a fucking pipe dream.
We owe them too much.
No, they would subtly assist the country in overthrowing us so they could take over.
I think they would actually do neither, because they've got a lot of financial interest in us. They would definitely not assist us, but I don't think they would assist enemies either. I think they would just try to see what happens and try and pick up the pieces after that.
Yeah, probably.
Basically, sit there with a bag.
They would capitalize. The communist country would capitalize on the aftermath.
Yeah. That makes
We're way
sense.
Off topic again.
But in any case, where I was going,
and then there's us all the way off to the left.
Yeah, where I was going with the conversation of the actually at this point I don't remember. We went so far off topic that I'm just fine. Needless to say that a lot of these gaming companies doing business more in China because these China has their fucking number. China knows that these corporations are the equivalent of a fucking teenage boy, and China is dangling a half-naked chick in front of them. That's the truth. And they're just they can't fucking help themselves but to fall.
You be a teenage boy for that?
It's an example. Point is that they know they've got these corporations number. They know that they're greedy. They're greedy to a fault. They're so predictable in their greediness. China says, "Hey, we've got almost 2 billion people over here that would love to buy your product. You just have to make these concessions, and then you can do that." And the corporations are like, "Yep, that's fine. Here, let me bend over. Go ahead and do what you want."
So it still sounds like the console peasants.
No, it's worse.
Yeah, it's far worse.
And that's.
I mean, they still just bend over and take it.
Yeah, but I guess the ultimate thing of the story is that we should really be very cautious of how this stuff plays out with China, and be very cautious of the decisions that these companies do when they want to do business with China. Like preventing gambling, okay. These playtime requirements, okay. But the way they do it, that your national ID has to be linked to your play account so that you are clearly identifiable. Like this national ID system and social credit score thing is bad news. Like you can say, oh, it holds the internet trolls accountable, so now you can't say nasty shit online. Listen, there's maybe 1%, 0.1% of the population are fucking internet trolls.
I'm one of them.
Very small amount of the population are internet trolls, right? The majority of people are just average, everyday folk that go online, no big deal. It is not a fair concession to say, oh, that 0.1% needs to be kept in line, so we have to institute an authoritarian monitoring process in order to do so. No, that's not justification. That kind of justification led to fucking concentration camps. Ugh. I'm so off base here. Let's get off of China, guys. Let's get off of China. Let's go to something more fun. Let's
Blue box!
Guys, let's get on to our favorite segment here on the Pixel Crashes podcast.
Epic fails?
Everybody, welcome to this week's Epic Fail segment. I feel like we need a theme song, like something whenever we have.
Epic, you fucked up. You don't fuck up today. I don't know.
There we go. Kev making up our theme song as we speak. So there's a couple of fun little bits. Actually, let's jump into the one that's less bad, if you will. Xaiphen. So tell me about Tetris Effect.
Okay, now there seems to be a workaround. Let me put that up first, and then I'm going to backtrack. Initially, Tetris Effect is a game that was launched as an Epic exclusive. Well, no, it was console first, and then coming to PC, it was an Epic exclusive. It has a VR function option to it as well, which originally only worked or relied on Steam VR to actually get that VR function to work. And, whether you're using an Oculus or HTC Vive or the new Index, it needed Steam VR. Well, but it was exclusive to Epic, so it's one of those ones like, okay, well, wait, how the fuck does this work, sort of deal. I can't remember this publisher later came out with a statement that you can get VR to work on Epic if you use the Oculus Rift, specifically software developers kit. You can get Tetris Effect VR in that. So still not friendly to the average user. Like you have to use the developer kit to actually get VR to work on that game on Epic. It's kind of a stupid fucking runaround of shit. And I like to make things complicated, but I like to make them complicated for me.
But hey, so if people are looking for support for Tetris Effect VR, so what area should they go to find support and information?
Steam,
because fuck you.
It's step 2 on the business plan. You got step 1, steal the underpants. Step 2, step 3, profit.
Wait, we're stealing underpants now?
At this point,
I stopped doing that when I got married.
What do you think Epic's been doing with all these exclusivity deals?
Stealing underpants. At this point, it's almost amazing to me
Gabe face.
that people are still defending that Epic makes a game exclusive, but then I want to say outsources, but that's not the right word because they're not giving any money to Valve. They're forcibly outsourcing everything about the game except for the game download itself. Hell, for all we know, it may still piggyback the downloading of the game off of Steam somehow.
I would not surprise me.
It's going to be like Uplay, where you trigger the game and Steam opens in the background.
Yeah, and then download.
That's a funny thing on this exclusivity bullshit on actually, Steam getting hit harder on that is because the extra features, that Steam charges more for to get these, except for the, paying for exclusivity. They're not willing to go that far for shit because they're smart. But all these extra features they provide with their enhanced fees, people, the exclusivity agreements going on Epic, they're getting used for free, like Steam Forums and other, sort of things like that. People are turning to Steam because Epic doesn't have jack shit.
Yeah,
except for the game you want to play.
And thus that year-long exclusivity deal entirely preys upon that thing that Rose was talking about earlier, the fear of missing out. Because otherwise, if people weren't afraid of missing out on the game when it comes out on launch, they would just wait for a year and say, hey, I'll get the game a year later.
We're hoping that the game comes out, the exclusivity is only for a year.
Most of them have been a year.
A lot of them they don't say anymore. They just say it's exclusive.
I know that the other one we're talking about, MechWarrior 5, is a year. And there's a reason behind that. It's very specific, the reason why.
Just start giving your money exclusively to GOG.
Well, yeah, you should really give your money to GOG. Everybody, by the way, they're not paying to advertise us. We just like GOG as a company. So to be clear, they have given us no money, no endorsement at all. We just think what they're doing is the right way to do business.
But,
Just throwing that out there.
You know, CD Projekt, if you're willing to help sponsor us, we will shill the fuck out for you because we actually like the work you do.
Mm-hmm.
Until you start being a bad guy, and then
Yeah,
we will
if
throw
you
under
get
the
too big
fucking
for your
bus.
britches and you start acting like these big businesses and doing shady practices like Epic, then yeah, we're gonna drop you like a bad habit.
I mean, I'll still praise you.
No, Kev, no, stop that, Kev. Then again, Kev is the only member of the podcast who's actually bought something off of Epic.
Yeah.
he is funding the destruction of the PC gaming market. You guys heard it here first.
Yep.
He wants
You're throwing him under the
he
bus.
wants the PC to be just like his PlayStation, so that way he actually wants Sony just to own his PC, you know, and he can only buy games from
You mean
Sony.
the same way the Xbox fanboys say that an Xbox or a PC is just an Xbox now?
You want it to actually be that way, yes.
You know what would be awesome
want
if-
your PC to be a PlayStation. You know.
You know, in an interesting turn of things, if Microsoft actually pulled this shit, since they're already kind of providing Steam some support with the Master Chief collection, if they actually take that, like, what would it be, 10 steps further and have host Steam on the Xbox.
Right.
Well, remember when that? I don't know if you remember, that was a
I mean-
rumor among the Xbox fanboys a couple years ago that they were putting Steam on Xbox. I was like, how does that even work? You're going to put a store on a store.
Yeah.
They just called me an elitist and didn't listen to logic. They said, stop being an elitist.
Well, so when it comes to this VR thing, I've actually heard, like, so one of the common arguments that I don't hear people really countering as much is the whole, like, well, again, that whole Steam doesn't do anything for their 30%. Steam needs someone to challenge them to innovate. You know, they need competition, and that justifies Epic buying up exclusives. Well,
but they won't buy from the Windows 10 store, which, in fairness, isn't as big of competition. I think Epic's doing more forcibly. But I actually really like the Windows 10 store, so there's that.
Well, the thing is, here's the shocking thing is yeah, Epic definitely, or Valve is definitely damn near unchallenged. Like, they have such a vast majority of the market share of PC game sales, but I wouldn't say they're actually a monopoly just because they haven't taken any monopolistic practices, and there are strong, healthy competitors out there, just not as big as Valve.
Right.
Yeah.
The
GOG, Uplay, Origin.
Well, I don't
even know if I would call Uplay or Origin.
Yeah, I wouldn't really.
They're literally just EA and Ubisoft trying to peddle their own games.
Yeah, they just didn't want to pay the cut from Steam, which, by the way, the whole the Steam is so like the whole 12%. The game makers would do so much more with that 12%. You get better games, cheaper games. It's like, look at fucking Activision Blizzard on their Battle.net. Look at fucking Uplay on their own store. Look at fucking EA Origin on their own store. They ain't done a damn bit of nothing of that.
Actually, Uplay has some decent sales.
Well,
sometimes.
Okay, so first of all, Uplay actually is not an exclusive game store. They have their products elsewhere.
Yeah. And you can get some other products on Uplay. Like, they had The Witcher on there for a while. I got Mortal Kombat 9 on Uplay.
Yeah.
The only exclusivity to Uplay is if you buy a game on Uplay or buy a Ubisoft game, you need that launcher to run it.
Yeah,
Whatever source you buy it from, you've got to, it's got to run through the launcher if it's going through Ubisoft on the purchase.
Uplay is more like just DRM, and they're like, hey, if you want to just buy our games directly through us,
it's like a
DRM, you can do that.
Yeah.
It's a third, fourth, and fifth level of DRM.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's what what's the Denuvo? That's what they do that for. So now you have Steam and Denuvo and Uplay and all the other forms of DRM they could think of.
Yeah. Well, in any case, though, my I guess the thing going off of that, though, is that those stores are kind of their own brand-specific, unique things. They're mostly to peddle their own in-house games. But you do have GOG. You do have multiple other stores that still sell Steam keys or GOG keys or whatever that Steam doesn't make money off of. So
right.
there is a a healthy market outside of Valve that Valve is not capitalizing on. So I'd say in that regard, there's not really a monopoly. But the thing is that even with they could have sat back on their laurels and really not done anything, but they have. They've been major proponents into developing new technologies to try to drive gaming markets forward. They've been one of the biggest VR developers ever. Like, no one else has really gone as far.
They were also trying to put PC into the console market too.
Yeah, Valve.
Yeah.
Yeah, Valve.
They tried to push PC into the console market. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Steam Machine.
When they tried to put their games on consoles?
I'm saying that Steam Machine was not successful, but they made the attempt to put PC into the console market because the Steam Machine was supposed to have the open format of a PC, only fit and connect to your TV and be manipulated by a controller instead of needing a mouse and keyboard.
The Steam Machine was kind of doomed to fail from the beginning, though, because they never.
It had a lot of problems. Yes, I'm not saying it was great, but they tried.
No. Well, that's not my point. My point was, who was the Steam Machine really for? Console players, there's like 20 of these. What the fuck? What's the difference between the $300-$400, $500?
Well, that was the failure of it.
$4,000.
That here's the thing: is that the Steam Machine was aimed at trying to get console players into the PC market. However, it was an absolute failure in doing so. It's the same thing I was saying with AMD graphics cards last podcast. Is that AMD may have something that's a fair value for their graphics cards, but they market them like shit.
Yeah, AMD marketing is terrible.
Yeah,
but it's like AMD. If you are in the low end or a mid-range PC game right now, AMD is where it's at.
Here's an important question: you market them like shit. Well, they don't take a lot of aggressive psychological marketing. They don't market them like shit. They market them more. They market more ethically.
They don't market at all.
Not entirely.
No. What AMD doesn't market ethically, they market dumbly. They could market ethically, making their names of their cards clearly distinctively outlining, like kind of what NVIDIA does, where you have the 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, whatever cards that are.
I'm thinking more specifically advertising, not.
No. I'm talking about their branding.
No, when I made that statement, when I said that, I was thinking more specifically advertising. I was not thinking full scope marketing.
See, without advertising, marketing, branding, it's all fucked up at AMD. Let's be honest about it.
But my point is
they make good hardware. That's about it.
Well, my point is though is that the Steam Machine, and here's the thing, is that I applaud their attempt of doing something new and trying to innovate, but let's not pretend that they were making the Steam Machine to be an open platform. Right? They were making it a Steam store version of a console where the person owning the Steam Machine would have been locked into Steam. Now that would have been a fucking monopoly.
Well, people who didn't pay attention, it was a subversively open platform because you got to think, what was the backbone of the Steam OS?
Originally it was Linux. Yeah,
exactly. And the thing is, I test sampled it. When you run it, if you just do the plug and play, it is all Steam Store. It looks closed from the front end, but it is nothing. It is nothing like that because you can easily do a switch and go into a Linux desktop environment. It was run on Debian with a GNOME.
But here's the thing. That the concept of the Steam Machine, now it failed at doing so, but its marketing was aimed at attracting console players who are not the super
technical
types. Yeah, they're not the ones that are going to be digging into stuff. They're going to accept things at face value because that's what they expect from a console. Yeah, there are some
small percentage. It was less than 1%, but there was still a percentage of the buyers of the PlayStation 3 that got their panties in a twist when PlayStation locked out the ability to sideload in an optional OS.
Well, a lot of people,
because the PlayStation 3, a lot of people were
bought
putting
it for
links
that.
on the first generation one. When I say a lot of people, when I say a lot of people, probably less than 1% of PS3 owners. But
Right,
they still made us
there
think
were
about
people
it
that were
because
actually
they
buying the
closed down that-
PS3 for that purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
they
meant to be a
closed
cheap
down
Linux
that open
box.
option.
So
That's what
that's a little
where
different, though.
Steam is, like I said, on the forefront, on the face of it, what you see is a closed system. But anybody that actually cared about an option, they had it.
Mm.
Well, then I guess that's one way. But I think that's taken it a little too technical. I agree in this aspect that people wouldn't have given a shit. But I think the reason people wouldn't have given a shit is because of how people look at consoles in general. Remember, when you're buying a console, to the average person looking for a console, it's just essentially a Blu-ray player. I don't care about what's inside the Blu-ray player. I just care what Blu-rays I can play. And that's how people approach a console. Not saying it's right or wrong. So that's why I say again, when you have 20 of them and the price ranges are so drastic, it's like, well, which one should I buy? Which one shouldn't? What's the difference here? Where they fucked up with the Steam machines, they should have stuck with that model with the Alienware Alpha. That should have been the Steam machine, period. Cut the other bullshit.
Just one. The problem is even with the Alienware Alpha, wasn't there like multiple configuration options with it?
No. There were two. There was one with Linux and one with Windows.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, the reason why 2 existed is SteamOS was so late in getting out.
Yeah.
Right.
The hardware was very premature.
Well, Dell took the jump on there because they liked the idea. They liked the idea in trying to sell this machine. They took the jump and made a Windows variant of it that had the launch big picture on start, more or less feel like a console on a Windows PC.
Actually, the Windows one of the Alienware Alpha was actually a better device too, because it had Uplay and GOG and Origin integrated into it too. But you had to use a mouse and keyboard to get to them.
Yeah,
so, like that.
Same as SteamOS. SteamOS is the same way. You needed a mouse and keyboard to get to any of the other.
Right, but it wasn't all the way built in, and that's what on the Alpha was what I'm talking about.
But
like you could do it, but that wasn't their idea. I don't even know if Origin Uplay even on Linux.
That's a key difference between Steam and GOG though, as far as open access is. GOG is like out there in your face, pro consumer, all your options, whereas Steam is like, well, we support the options, but we're not going to tell you.
Yeah, the thing is
I'll tell you that, like, I'm just like, it's there. We're just not gonna. We're gonna be very hands off.
So the thing is that I don't really. The way I see Valve is not pro consumer, but they're also not anti consumer. They're
neutral.
They're the true neutral, if you will. On the spectrum, like that. Whereas GOG is very much pro-consumer, very adamantly pro-consumer, and Epic is very adamantly anti-consumer and pro-publisher. Valve is not really either. It's in this nebulous space where they try not to piss off any one particular group. They kowtow a little bit to consumers. They kowtow a little bit to publishers. They try to maintain a balance. Whereas GOG and CDP have regularly said, if you don't want to fucking be nice to consumers, we don't have any desire to play ball with you. Straight up, they have no problem saying no, but that's also because they're in a place where it wouldn't necessarily hurt them as much, right? Whereas Valve is in a much more precarious position where they've already had a lot of big AAA publishers pull out to their own stores because they didn't want to have to deal with Valve anymore. So Valve is in this place where they're like, we don't. And with Epic coming in, they're really nervous about it. But yeah. So in any case, though, part of something that I find most fascinating with this is that Epic, and people a lot of times will defend Epic for, their features are coming. Like I think Kev said that, they finally got cloud saves. Do they have a shopping cart? Do they have a
cloud save for 2 games?
Do they have a fucking shopping cart yet?
Probably not.
Like
I don't think
they
do.
Was made by Piranha that Epic has better discoverability because it's so empty.
Bullshit.
Have you?
No.
It's
They're not wrong. Well, let's kind of roll this into talking about MechWarrior 5. But yeah, so before we go too deep into MechWarrior 5 here, first let's kind of explain some of the backstory on here. Very similar story to what we've had before. It was a game that was offered for pre-order on Steam, and then they signed an Epic exclusive, and then they pulled out. People obviously upset because, obviously they wanted the game on Steam. And they don't necessarily... And we'll get to part of the problems I have with this. One of the things that they kind of made note of, and this was a video by Sid Alpha, that actually kind of delved into something that these guys did, is it seemed like the reason how everybody found out that it was an Epic exclusive was entirely by accident. The developers and publishers did not actually intend to let people know this far in advance.
Yeah, they were going to wait till Gamescom.
They were going to wait until Gamescom. Yeah, which that to me is layers upon layers.
Shady shit.
Yeah, that's layers upon layers of shady shit. By the way, anybody out there, I don't care about your opinion about Valve, Epic, don't buy MechWarrior 5. The publisher, forget about Epic, forget about Valve, the publisher and developer of this game are scumbags. Don't buy from them. Don't give them your money. I don't care what the game is. We need to start sending messages that this shit is not okay.
5, they also have Shenmue 3. That's also under their umbrella.
Fucking mess too.
Shenmue 3 is another developer
that's a whole different mess.
No, I thought it was the same publisher, Piranha Games.
No.
My bad. That's Yiz
Deep Silver.
Well, yeah, that's Deep.
Yeah, but
that was part of the Deep Silver deal, but it was developed by Yiz or however you say it.
Wise Software, I thought it was called.
Wise.
But anyway.
Wise, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, but that's even more fucked up because it was a Kickstarter game on a PlayStation E3 stage.
Oh yeah.
They raised all the money at E3 with PlayStation. Then they went out and got a publisher in Deep Silver, and then turned around and took Epic's money.
Yeah, no, like
that's all kinds of greed.
Yeah, Wise is a whole level of other sorts of shady, and to be frankly honest, I don't know what the fuck I never really thought that Shenmue 2 was that great of a game.
I've never played Shenmue and don't care about Shenmue 3 like that.
Shenmue was good, the original, because it was something that was unique in the era of the Dreamcast. It was new at the time, it was good at the time. The series has not evolved since then. It is stuck in the past.
It hasn't come out.
It's entirely so essentially the game Shenmue 3 is entirely a play off of people's nostalgia. That's your first warning flag, is whenever a company is entirely trying to profit off of your nostalgia and not coming up with a fucking unique idea. That means they have no ideas, they just want your money. Warning flag 2, when they appear on stage on a Sony stage, telling you that they're taking money from Sony, but they still want your Kickstarter money. Warning sign 3, they went to Deep Silver. Yeah, they went to Deep Silver for more money. That's 3 fucking big warning flags that you should have backed out already and not backed this game. Warning sign number 4 was oh, well, that's no surprise. Whenever they took the Epic exclusive, that was literally like okay. This literally surprised nobody, because they obviously are just there to get money.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people that honestly go the Epic Game Store route, and I get it. You're a business, you want to make money. The idea of a business is, at the end of the day, to make money, but there has to be a better way to do it than just saying fuck you to your purchasers.
But that's the thing, is they're not putting the work in to make their money. They're taking
a lot of these developers aren't. They're like, hey, we can take. Yeah, they're just taking a shortcut. Yeah, and I mean, let's be real. Like, I get it if you're like an indie developer. Indie developers, a lot of the time they don't make their money back. It's like you don't see Minecraft situations happen every day. I get it, but you're having these like big games like Borderlands 3 was going to sell regardless. Let's say I'm looking at the Epic Store right now. Like, I'm looking at Borderlands 3. They didn't need Epic. Borderlands 3 was going to do well.
looking at a flip side argument on the indie developer, though, is they are non-gambling. Like, you're an indie developer, you're paying for your own shit, you're taking a gamble on your own skill, your own quality of your product.
Right.
So, you
But then
think you have
like
something that's
Ubisoft.
that great, you can make something of it. Like DE believed in what they had that much. They took the gamble and they fucking won. However, when you got an indie developer that's taking an exclusivity payout, they're not even relying on their own skill anymore. They're relying on a handout.
Right.
Yeah. It's
but it is not even necessarily the indie games doing this. Like, I get it if you're an indie developer because you're trying to survive, but you got fucking Ubisoft.
No, the thing is that the majority of these cases, the majority of these exclusivity deals are not deals with fucking indie devs. There has been a few with indie devs, but that's more or less, to me, that's kind of like a big name actor doing an indie movie, right? For the Cannes Film Festival. They largely do it just for the street cred. Epic's only signing on those little indie devs so that they have the street cred of we're helping out the little guy. It's all fucking PR. It's none of it.
I guarantee their exclusivity payout to the indies are nowhere near as fat as they are to the multi-dev publishers.
Yeah, the deal they did
with multi or single, whatever.
The deal they did with Deep Silver and THQ Nordic. Deep Silver's owned by THQ Nordic, if I remember correctly. I think I may be getting shit confused. Whatever the case, the deal they did with Deep Silver that ended up netting them several games. They did a deal with Private Division, which is one of the Ubisoft's publishing brands, and that's where they got Borderlands 3 as well as The Outer Worlds, and I think there was another couple other games in there. And I forgot there was also the the Division, wasn't Division 2?
That's Ubisoft. The Division 2 was an Epic exclusive. You can still buy it on the Uplay, and that drove up Uplay sales enormously.
Oh yeah, it was kind of genius because I think that's where all that extra money that they got came from.
Ubisoft's part, yes.
Right, I think that's where when they said where all the extra money they were talking about what PC games came from, is because people were just buying their shit directly on Uplay instead of Steam.
Well, no, that's actually so during Ubisoft's public earnings statement, because they were a publicly traded company. So guess what, guys? Any person out there can go and actually research their earnings statements and actually see that. It's public information. There's no secrets there. And they are required by law to be open about their earnings. They can't hide shit from you. That's backed by law in multiple countries. So one of the key statistics, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like their PC gaming revenue grew by X amount of percent. The actual sales from the Uplay store grew by like 3 times that percentage. So essentially, their sales went up this much, and how much of that was the store? Where previously maybe 10% of their sales came from the Uplay store directly. Most of it was probably Steam. Now it's like 30% or 40% or whatever that happens to be. I don't know I can't remember exactly what the percentage was, but it was very clear that their Epic exclusivity deal drove people to buy directly from Uplay. So Uplay got a paycheck from Epic for the exclusivity for people not to buy the game on the Epic store, which means Ubisoft just got all sorts of fucking good out of it.
And that was not a great deal for Epic, honestly.
And I'm okay with that. I'm usually not okay with people taking Sweden Derp's money, but in this occasion, I'll let it pass.
Well, here's the thing. So let's be completely frank on here. Exclusivity deals are rare. Before you go there, I did not buy the Division on Epic. I got it free with my kid's graphics card, and it was on Uplay. Direct. God damn it. Yeah. So here's the thing: is that when it comes to vertical integration or exclusivity arrangements, it usually those vertical integration agreements usually revolve around a stronger product. Someone paying someone with a stronger product to help prop up a weaker product. So, for example, AT&T, while they weren't necessarily the weakest cell provider, they weren't necessarily getting all the cool new phones to sell. When they saw the iPhone coming out, they immediately jumped to Apple and said, "We'll pay you money to have that exclusive to AT&T." AT&T in this case was the weaker product, if you will, whereas the iPhone was the hot in-demand item. AT&T paid through the nose for that until they couldn't pay for it anymore. But the thing is
Now-
that it wasn't a good deal directly for AT&T. It actually generally weakens the weaker company. So Epic signing all of these deals is actually not a good deal for Epic ever, because it's a loss leader. The idea here is they can keep burning through their reserves of money, keep signing these exclusivity deals, starve the rest of the market for 80% of their revenue for these big titles. That's the 1-year exclusivity deal. Based on the Pareto principle, about 80% of the sales happens in the first year. So if they can starve the rest of the PC markets for 80% of their sales with these exclusivity deals, they're gonna collapse. GOG, Green Man Gaming, Valve, any of these other stores that can't have another route to make money are going to straight fucking collapse. And then who's going to be left standing? Epic. Then they won't have to sign any more exclusivity deals because they'll be the only option. That's the gambit. That's the play here. And there's a few people that I notice are seeing this, but not a lot of people are getting the game. This is the shit that Amazon and Walmart does all the fucking time.
They choke you out, basically.
They will choke out little competitors.
It's like I'm going to make a Total War reference. You bring your army to the settlement, and you know you can't beat them. So what do? You starve them out. You hold out so they can't get any supplies.
And the larger the army is, and this is something you may not get in Total War as much, but this is the truth of warfare. The larger your army is, guess what? The more food they need to eat.
Oh yeah.
So if you siege a city and they have a huge army and they can't get out of the city, guess what? That means that they're going to starve out faster. So the bigger the company,
through attrition.
Yeah, the bigger the company, like Valve, for example, the more money they need to sustain themselves and make all of their investors happy. So if they start getting starved for 80% of their revenue, that's not a little amount. That's 80 fucking % of their revenue. That might start having a severe impact. I don't know how long it's going to take, because obviously it's only at this point it's just a handful of games.
Well, now here's the thing is potential direction this could go if Epic is successful with their business move. They're not going to be the only remaining store, and I'm not counting Origin or Uplay or other shit like that. I mean, like a diverse store. Epic is not going to be the last one standing, because what do you have? Like, Amazon does have competition. They have competition from another business that has used the same practices they have.
Walmart?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1 competition, but they do have some competition in that regards when it comes to their store. And I think we're going to see a similar effect come to play on this.
Fun fact, by the way.
I'm not sure if Sween Derp is actually looking for competition with Valve.
He doesn't want it, but he's going to end up finding it if his plan succeeds.
I think he's going to end up finding that work, because the problem is if people hold out for that year, which a lot of people seem to be doing. I'm not as good at that, but if people hold out for that year, what's he going to do a year from now?
So here's the thing:
he's buying up exclusivity until he's done or bankrupt.
Yeah. So here's the first thing. First of all, Walmart's not a competition for Amazon. In fact, Amazon is choking out Walmart. Like, not even a joke. While Walmart originally back in the day did the shit that Amazon's doing now, Amazon is doing that shit to Walmart right now. Well, if you look around, Walmart's closing down left and right.
They already effectively choked out Walmart. Walmart has got its head a bit above the water as of the past year. They are starting to show some more competition than they had against Amazon before, and it is very slowly but growing. Mm-hmm. And where I think this could end up is we could see a growth like that from the Windows Store as a result of this kind of campaign.
Yeah.
I want to see growth in the Windows Store.
I see. I like GOG and Steam. I can see them falling, but Windows has enough money power to throw around that they could actually, once Epic is the last one standing and starve themselves of so much money by buying into all these exclusivities, Windows Store can come in from like.
I'm just saying this is the thing is that Epic, while Epic is multitudes larger than Valve, right? But if they starve themselves and weaken themselves enough, guess what's going to happen? Because this is the way the big fish play, right? They'll let this play out. No, Microsoft won't swoop in. Fucking Amazon or Disney or one of those other guys that want to compete with Microsoft will swoop in and buy up Epic. And then you'll have the Amazon Epic Game Store, the Epic Amazon Store on your desktop.
It's not like Amazon doesn't have any interest in gaming. I mean, look at Twitch.
Yeah. They've expressed it.
They own Twitch, guys. Yeah. Let's not forget. Yeah. We're streaming. Yeah. We're right now streaming and producing content for the devil.
With Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
that's another angle I hadn't thought of. But yeah, you'd see some shit like that. A bigger company swoop in by them out. Most likely not Microsoft. Microsoft would try and build upon its store.
No. See, the thing is, Microsoft would build up their own store, and they would be very cognizant not to buy up Epic because they are so paranoid about not even coming close to antitrust accusations.
Yeah.
So they are super paranoid
about
that.
The door open for competition. They will not want to try and shut that door.
One thing I want to give props to Microsoft about on the PC gaming front, as much as we talk about GOG being pro-consumer, I really feel like the Windows 10 store is really getting there too. Or maybe not the Windows 10 store, but Microsoft's policies.
Yeah,
they're not as good as GOG, but I think they are getting to the point where they are fairly pro-consumer. Hey, buy it wherever the hell you want to. We're not going to try to charge you for online.
So by the way,
we're just going to put our exclusives on.
Windows Store apps are so fucking locked down in Windows 10. It is near impossible to do anything with them.
Yeah. UWP, yes, but the newer ones are EXEs. They're just Windows 2 files.
So they're
in fact, my Gears of War gun gave me Gears 5 EXE crash.
So
like, and they've already said they're doing. That's what they're doing with the mod support. They're just making EXEs.
Yeah,
and a lot of the games that they've already put on Steam, or actually all the games they've already put on Steam, are EXEs.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is that so there's levels to it. Everything exists on a spectrum. Nobody's like where I make the joke of like Valve being kind of in the middle and that sort of thing. Microsoft, I also kind of see them as being in the middle in a lot of ways. They're not pro-consumer for a lot of intents, but they're also not anti-consumer. They have definitely been making strives to appease consumers more, but to be on the same level of GOG requires, and I should say CDP as a whole.
I'm not saying they're on the same level.
Yeah, like that's there's been years of built up actions taken by, like, the whole point of CD Projekt was acknowledging that piracy comes from a service related issue, that if you're not providing a service and are giving people a reason to buy a product, they will pirate it. That was the existence in Poland in the the post communist era, the USSR era Poland. It was a desolate post communist wasteland, and people just pirated shit. Like, flea markets were the primary markets. The way the games were distributed was people finding them through some means or another, copying them and selling those bootleg copies. The black market was the primary market there. And what they did was that they signed deals with actual publishers, localized the game to Poland, and sold official copies in a localized way that people were like, oh wow, this game's actually localized to Poland. They actually were like so astonished that somebody gave a shit about Poland that they would buy the game. Right. That is the history of CD Projekt. That's where they came from. So Microsoft, to try to come close to a company whose roots are in pro-consumerism, you have a long way to go.
Well, that's the thing.
Oh,
Is like,
Yeah.
and that's why I tried, and that's why I double back.
Yeah.
I'm not
You know,
saying they're
so-
like pre-CD project. I'm saying what they're doing these days are fairly pro-consumer.
what
I'm
what
at the
they're
point,
doing
too,
is
where
they're trying to they don't have the ethical conscience that CD Projekt has, but they're trying to emulate it to
Yeah.
but
I
still
don't
make
think they're trying to
money
emulate it.
off.
I think they're just giving people what they've been screaming for years. And I want to see, and I hope the Windows Sensor, the Xbox Store, gets to the success where they are at some point a relevant third-party games distribution platform on PC, and they can be competitive with Steam. As much as people talk about Steam needs competition, I don't think Epic is the competition they need. I think it's Microsoft. I think if Microsoft hadn't gotten greedy with the Xbox 360, and trying to force PC players into getting the Xbox 360, they probably would have been that competition for Steam.
I mean, to me, I think that Microsoft, I definitely want to see them be competition. But to me, I really think I think that they're probably the one that has the power to do it, I guess to say. But I would really want to see GOG get more horsepower, and because the thing is that you remember I said it before, if by chance GOG is able to get enough traction behind them with this Galaxy 2.0, what's going to happen? You're going to see Steam follow suit, and then all of a sudden you'll be able to log into your GOG account from Steam and your Epic account and your Microsoft account and so on from Steam and pull in all the game data from there. And then Microsoft Store, from the Microsoft Store, you'll be able to log into your Steam account, your GOG account, and so on, and pull in all your game data.
We talked about years ago the Unified Friends list. We were starting with Unified Games list. I'm with you there. I want to see, and where I'm just talking about, as far as having a multifaceted, direct store competition. Yeah, Humble and Green Man and Fanatical, all those guys, they are competition to Steam, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you look at like the major store,
we're talking about
I want to see Microsoft. I want to see GOG there. I think Microsoft, GOG, and Steam could be the big three on PC, and that would be great for everyone.
And
I think part of that, those developers also need to start putting their games on these other platforms. Like the reason Steam has such a monopoly in the PC game space, quote unquote, it's exclusivity, but it's not. It's not like it's exclusive like they bought exclusivity from Steam. But I'm looking at my Steam library now. If I want to play Fallout 4 on PC, I'm only getting it on Steam. Actually, no, the Bethesda launcher. That's a bad example. Let's use Resident Evil 2. Better example. I'm only getting that on Steam. XCOM 2, I'm only getting it on Steam. Total War, only getting it on Steam.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of games like that on Steam.
Cycle back to the source of this topic with MechWarrior 5. I have not been a huge fanatic of the BattleTech series. However, I love the genre, that particular genre in general. Giant fighting robots. It has always had an allure for me.
What was the one that we were a big one? Armored Core.
Armored Core. Well, before that, MechWarrior.
MechWarrior, yep.
MechWarrior, and there was a similar game to that too, but I can't remember.
Phantom Crash. I played Phantom Crash. That was also a good one.
Yeah. Armored Core gave us at least me, the first three-dimensional, third person, first person point of view on there. I can't remember which person view. That's the thing, is that genre in general, and BattleTech has been strong for that genre. They have been they go back to the 80s, I think.
80s or 90s.
I think 90s.
At least 90s. They go way the fuck back though. And they've been good with the genre, and they've had so many spin-offs and inspirations all over the damn place. And it is so sad to start seeing that franchise go down this way. Like, Sid Alpha was, straight out angry about it, and I feel for him. I don't feel that level of anger because I have not been a huge BattleTech fan, but I have enough I have enough like for this genre in general that like I feel for that. I feel that.
Yeah, the thing is that it's I kind of like, it's the same thing. I think that some of the traction that I have towards Elite Dangerous is I love those futuristic simulations, which MechWarrior has never really been as much of a simulation as Armored Core was. Armored Core was considerably more sim-like in the sense that you had to. I don't know. I never played MechWarrior online.
There's a lot of load balancing and tactical setup before you actually go into the competition, and there's a lot of tactical play. As much plausible realism as they can get away with in certain cases. Localized damage was like, because I'd thought of that idea, localized damage on games for years. Like, why do they not do this more explicitly? Some games come a little bit close, but they never really get very specific on this. And MechWarrior Online, you shoot off an arm, that arm is gone.
You know, that
I was looking forward to that stuff. I mean, I just, like you said,
you can
you
still
don't see
get it in MechWarrior Online, but the player base is dwindling, but you can still find matches. And that fear of missing out, I didn't get in that game until it'd been out for like 2 or 3 years, and I was still able to find games pretty easily on there.
What was that, Rose?
I just didn't like the pay to win of MechWarrior Online. So if a game's pay to win like that, I just don't play it. But the thing with MechWarrior 5 for me was that I was looking forward to it a little bit because of that localized damage. I mean, you see it on Elite Dangerous. Oh shit, my fucking multi-cannon's been destroyed. Oh shit, the thrusters are down. You see it there, but not a whole lot of space games, not a whole lot of games do that. And I was looking forward to that, and now it's like, I'm not even gonna buy this game. I'm probably going to, and the Pixel Crashers doesn't condone piracy, I'm probably going to fucking pirate it straight up because...
No, guys, wait, buy it on G2A.
Yeah, G2A.
Oh, yes, I like that idea.
That's
I don't like
the level of
G2A, but fuck
spite
it.
that I have towards a company like this. Buy the game on G2A.
Well, what about
preferably from the find the least reputable buyer on G2A, buy from that person.
But what if your shit gets stolen? Buy the insurance.
I don't care. Yeah, buy the insurance. Don't give a fuck. It's
such a scam.
Buy the insurance so that way when they get charged back to the developer, fuck you for putting your game on Epic or on Epic. Yeah. But let's think about it. It's Control on G2A. Hold on.
Is it on G2A?
You should have bought it.
If Control is on G2A, that's where I'll be getting Control.
I thought you already had it.
No, I was joking I said I was interested in getting it off of there, but
Kev likes to disagree with me on Twitter sometimes just to disagree.
I have to get more shit.
Yeah.
And it's not on G2A, sadly.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely a sad way to see
that's where I'm going next.
Yeah, it definitely is disappointing to see the BattleTech genre. And the problem is that because one of my major complaints about situations like this is because, and this goes back to the whole marketing thing I was talking before about how corporations are doing such heavy marketing to tell consumers what consumers should buy instead of listening to consumers and asking what consumers want. The problem with that is that when this game fails, or if this game fails and it does horribly, is that they will misconstrue the reason why and say, oh, just must be because they don't want any giant robot games. Like, no, dumb fuck. It's because you're a fucking scumbag. That's why your game
I'm going to tell you right now, this game
I'm going to do a scumbag move right quick.
Because the BattleTech franchise has been a little bit niche. It has had a very dedicated, loyal fan base. And they are just fucking shitting on their fans. And that's, it is going to fail because of that, because they didn't realize that, like, oh, it's and I mentioned this bullshit from, I can't remember the guy at Piranha, of like, well, Epic is so empty, it has better discoverability. It's not discoverability that you need. You need to know your fan base. You need to know that, like, this genre is particular enough. You need to play to your fans, play to that loyal fan base.
So by the way, I had forgotten to get into some of the fuckery of essentially what had happened with this game. Essentially, the website FAQ got updated to remove all references to pre-order stuff, which kind of made more or less people a little suspicious of what was going on. Fucking diesel pickup trucks. Anyway, the big thing that that really people started saying, oh, why are they doing that? It's a little suspicious. And then it came out that they were doing exclusivity to Epic. And yeah, the guy said, oh, it's for discoverability. It's like, so do some math on here. With a game like MechWarrior 5, for example, has some name power behind it. You're not some entrance indie launching a new IP that no one's ever heard of based on Kickstarter or some shit. You're a name that's established that has been in the market for a long fucking time.
It's been in long enough that people know whether they like it or not.
Yeah,
much.
they know that name. They know the franchise. So the whole discoverability is a crock of shit. That's the truth. You're full of shit.
Yep.
That sounds to me
that was one of several crocks of shit coming out of this guy.
Yeah, like one of several. The other one was, of course, that he leaked it out that essentially they were planning on announcing it at Gamescom shortly before the game released. But
I think they were going to announce it during the beta when people were already starting to, get hooked in and just be like,
Possibly.
okay,
But
yeah, I'll.
They were trying to keep those pre-orders open all the way up until the last minute.
Yeah.
They
were
only locked down those pre-orders once they got caught.
It was going to be a Metro situation over and all over again, except for, the Metro people didn't actually know, it was their publisher did it. And they apparently, when they found out, they were making Steam achievements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, though, is that so my major complaint on here is that, so you have this thing that you often hear of like, oh, the Epic Store, has better discoverability because there's less games on there. Okay,
But the store's a fucking mess.
Well, no, here's the thing: is that Steam has less discoverability.
It's just a big ass pile of shit on top of each other. Just stack and stack and stack and stack. You can't find nothing to stack. Have you looked at the games? Discoverability, but you can't find shit.
Wait, where's the technical difficulties? Where's the technical difficulties? Kev's having a meltdown.
The epic failures have broken Kev.
Hold on. There we go. There's the technical difficulties. Kev's having a meltdown, guys. We're experiencing technical difficulties. Kev's having a meltdown.
No, but really though, I have the Epic Game Store on my PC. I can screen share it. This shit's a fucking mess. Like you really can't find anything there. It is so disorganized.
So here's the thing, and this is where I was getting to that. So with the discoverability aspect on there, first of all,
dog shit.
And this was something that I rail on Discord about. By the way, did you guys know Discord has a game store? Good. No one else does. Yeah, nobody else does. That's the kind of discoverability you can expect from Epic. Epic is better because at least you know that there's a store that Epic has. But trying to find what you want is so fucking hard. It's like maybe right now when there's only 5 games on the store that you can all fit on one page, you get discoverability there.
But the moment like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
The thing is like Epic has all these promises of upgrades. I think all these upgrades are going to be Intel's 10 nanometer.
Yeah. Well, no, guys. Let's talk about
years later. It's going to be still a pile of dog shit.
No, it's Anthem all
the
over
upgrades
again.
are only for the publishers, Xaiphen. Let's get that right.
Yeah,
the publishers get the upgrades. Fuck you.
I don't know how you're going to justify upgrading your store when you're spending all the money on the store on the publishers. Like, it's a matter of budgeting. From a project perspective, if I am budgeted, let's say $50 million for a project to upgrade their store, and then $45 million of that gets spent on exclusivity deals, that means my scope for the upgrades is I'm going to reprioritize all the tasks of the project and push them out to what we call year 2, which year 2 means eventually. That's the upgrade cycle
Eventually
we're
it can
going to
be
get.
a long time.
Yeah, you know, that's really what we're looking at is eventually.
The sun will burn out.
And that the thing is, and of course their developers are getting work 70 to 100 hours, a week. So you know,
so are Naughty Dog, but nobody's talking about Naughty Dog. Actually,
yeah, Naughty
Dog.
Dog.
The Sony ponies, they said, yeah, but we still buying the game.
Exactly.
So
the thing is that
why I take all this time to make The Last of Us 2, and y'all work at 80-hour work weeks. That's what they said.
The thing is that the world today has such backward ass. I don't know. Anyway, without getting sidetracked on how retarded it is.
Got 5 minutes.
No, we
still got another story to do, don't we?
We're gonna go
No,
over.
we're good.
No, we're good. Okay, well, we'll get it in 5 minutes. By the way, the UK said that gambling was loot boxes weren't gambling, but their laws, their actual law, it might be open to interpretation. So that seems like that was that might have been a payoff from the ESA. I'm just throwing that out there. UK government little suspicious that they said that loot boxes aren't gambling, despite their law saying
gambling.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so let's
But we like to gamble.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Don't you like gambling?
Guys, I'm just exhausted.
Why don't you like gambling? Loot box.
Kev, tell us your final thoughts.
We already got
check
those.
the link in the chat that I sent you for the Kingwood link for Control. Because fuck Tim Sweeney. If you're gonna buy Epic Store games, buy them on Kingwood. They're all there. I checked.
Or G2A.
By the way,
on G2A. That's why I said Kingwood, because they're all on Kingwood.
For reference, for those who haven't seen our previous episodes of our podcast, first of all, go watch our previous episodes. Good gems in there. Second of all, the reference that he's making on there is that many developers and publishers have come out and said they would prefer you pirate their games than buy them on gray market sites like Kingwin or G2A. So what we're saying is to spite those fuckers, buy the game on Kingwin or G2A.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do exactly what they tell you not to do.
Right, and only do it to the developers that are doing this fuck shit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it to the good developers out there. You know,
you want to get CD Pro.
If you want to put your game on the Epic Games Store, fine. We buy it on G2A.
Yeah. So for in the case of like Cyberpunk 2077, buy that on GOG. Buy Cyberpunk 2077 on GOG. Why? Because
why give
GOG
and any of that money?
CD Projekt Red and GOG are owned by the same parent company, so buying it on GOG means that CD Projekt Red gets 100% of the money.
And they like to do good things with that money.
Thus far, yeah, and from our historical example and historical evidence of what GOG and CD Projekt has done so far, giving them that extra money from buying it off of GOG means that they will actually do shit that benefits consumers, like GOG Galaxy 2.0. That's what they spend their money into, is making the PC gaming environment better for gamers. God damn, they should hire me for their marketing team. I'm just saying.
You're just a GOG.
Give us some money, like sponsor us.
No, let's not.
Anyway, sponsor us, please, Razer.
No.
Stop, Kev.
Yes.
Stop.
Not Razer.
Okay, where's the Kev mute button? Where's the Kev mute button? I gotta find it quick.
Y'all are just shells.
Anyway,
Yes.
so yeah. In any case, yeah. If it's a good publisher and they're providing you a good value and not screwing you over, don't buy it off of G2A or Kingwin. Wait for it to go on sale somewhere and buy it directly through a direct means. Anyway. Xaiphen, final thoughts? Hey, what's that background you've got back there that we ended up not talking about at all?
Gambling?
Loot box!
Fucking...
I'm like across the room from the mic.
If you've got the first step toward getting over an addiction is, thinking about it and realizing that you actually have one.
Yeah.
You can get addicted to synthetic gambling. Even though this is true gambling, but let's go with certain arguments of synthetic gambling.
Because real gambling gets you money. You just get fucked both ways with this synthetic.
Even if you don't look at the money aspect, this is psychologically detrimental. It is a bad downward spiral. So if you have, or you know somebody that has these gambling addictions, try to help. This is not a good way to go.
Mm-hmm. And while we're and I'm gonna cut that off for me because we cut off my final thoughts. I didn't show my channel. I put another video out. I haven't put a video out in like 6 months. I put a video out.
Oh damn!
Yes, because I got cut off. You guys check it out. I'm talking about God Galaxy 2.0, doing a comparison to Play Night. So check it out.
Oh yeah, so Kev comparing God Galaxy 2.0 to Play Night. Interesting. Mm-hmm. So
that
give us a tidbit. What's the first sentence you open with?
Go to youtube.com/GloriousKev to find out.
That's not a teaser, Kev. We need to work on your teasing capability.
Lisa. Praise Lisa.
That's not a tease either. That's just sad.
That's just praising Lisa.
I'm actually working on a bit about future proofing. Speaking of plugs,
you want to future proof? Don't buy Intel.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm working on a bit on
they won't let you
proofing.
upgrade.
Unfortunately, it's taken me a while because I got to obsess a lot over how it's going to hold up in the future.
That's your future proofing. Your article about future proofing.
Yes.
Make sure it's proof for the future. Wait, is Xaiphen up the situation?
So by the way, Exhibit is helping Xaiphen write this article. He's like, yo dog, we heard you like future proofing. We're gonna do future proofing while you're future proofing.
We're gonna have to stop you right there. Since we're acting out memes.
Is that protected by Chinese copyright?
Oh, it's okay. We're banned in China anyway. Winnie the Pooh. Hey China, go fuck yourself. Anyway,
I wonder what Chinese Winnie the Pooh actually looks like.
All right,
Rose. He probably doesn't eat honey. He probably eats like.
I'm sure Rose has something to say.
Rose, final thoughts.
Fuck Ross. Just seriously, fuck that guy. He's the dude that was doing the AMA that for the BattleTech and MechWarrior 5 shit.
Shout out to Stadia too, and their AMA. We know the cloud is scary, but it's the future.
Stores wouldn't get slammed. That's not related to this. We've got our own squadron in Elite Dangerous now. If you play, come join us. We're awesome.
We're small and growing.
Yeah, we're small and growing. If we get enough people, we can become our own minor faction.
Ooh. Or I can come join a clan that I want to start.
That's a scary thought. No, guys, that's a very scary thought for us to become our own minor faction. That is a very scary thought.
I've just totally been playing Elite Dangerous, just zipping around on this planet, gathering mats all this podcast.
Can you actually land on planets in Elite Dangerous?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can land, you can go around, and you can shoot motherfuckers and shit.
No, you're not on foot. You can get it
first. Which car? I can't think of another game that's not.
There's no foot traffic in this game, but you can land on planets and get out in a little rover.
Yeah.
See, I want to Star Trek a motherfucker. I wanted, better yet, I want
to. Well, you play Star Trek for that.
But Star Trek can't fly ships. I want to be able to fly the ships.
All right, for my final thoughts on there, Kev.
Badass space pirate that I am. Glorious.
All right, he's
just mute him.
Yeah, just mute him. Anyway, for our final thoughts, guys. So if this is your first time tuning into the podcast, welcome. Hi, we like you. You're pretty. That's all. Have a good day. No, in any case, for those of you who are unaware of our streaming schedule, we stream every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time.
10 o'clock.
Whatever time it is over in Future World, it is a time over there. Over in the same part of the world where it's Pacific time, we stream at 7 p.m. we alternate every other week. 1 week we do the podcast, which you're watching now. On the off week, we get together and harass each other playing some co-op video games. Next week, we're going to be playing some Titanfall 2 again. We're going to be back in that, having some glorious fun, watching Morty rocket playing the North Star and wrecking fools. That was the highlight of last week, of course. Yeah, some other people occasionally did good too. I only did good in 2 matches, but that's what we're going to focus on, is those 2 good matches. Anyway, moving on.
And hopefully Xaiphen won't kill me while I'm rodeo Titan, because Xaiphen kept murdering me.
You were getting a little up to...
I was said, hi friend, I'm taking your battery. Shoot. Damn it, Xaiphen!
Exactly.
You know, when I'm running with that Ronin...
Like, you were supposed to say, you can kill you bastard! Nobody does that.
When I'm running with that Ronin, I play it to critical. I am blowing myself up left and right, and if you happen to be right next to me when I go up, that's your own damn fault.
Yeah.
So you play it like I play Vermintide.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Well, no, the thing is, Kev, though, is you're a lot better at managing that explosion with Sienna. I think it's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're as Xaiphen found out trying to play Sienna, it's not as easy as you make it look.
No, I killed myself a lot.
Like, I think we need to acknowledge the skill that Kev displays playing Sienna, because that's not as easy as it looks.
That's a hard character.
Yeah.
People trash talk it, but it's a hard
skill playing Sienna and playing Titanfall and playing Killing Floor.
Mm-hmm. So in any case,
run around with the Ronin and Titanfall and tell me how well you do with that one.
So yeah, I used
to play Ion or Scorch.
So in any case, though, for those of you folks that also want to listen to the audio of the podcast while you happen to be sitting in traffic, we also do upload the audio to all of the major podcasting sources. So wherever you happen to get your podcasts, you can just do a search for The Pixel Crashers and you will find us there. And you can listen to our deliciously scrumptious voices as we rant about video games, and Kev has meltdowns over the Epic Games Store.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Oh, God.
Kev is now going to be doing the intro for the podcast. Hello, ladies. Welcome to the Pixel Crashers
Kev
podcast.
Is now the ladies' band.
Yeah.
Open up with.
By the way,
when I got married.
that little snippet.
Develop a little bit of a lisp.
No. See, the thing. Oh God, no. Let's not do that.
I said the ladies' man.
Yeah, no. So that little snippet we heard from Kev was flashing back to the days of Your
When
Girl Wants
single?
Kev. Yeah. No. In any case.
Only to find out that Ken's girl actually did want Kev.
Yeah. So in any case, we're gonna get signed off here for the night, guys. We'll be back next week with some Titanfall 2. Come join us. Have some fun with that. We're live on YouTube and Twitch, doing great things and having good fun. And then after that, we'll be back with another podcast on what's the date of the next podcast, guys? You guys have to remind me because I don't know how to.
Is
Look it up.
It is the
10th of August.
10th, yeah.
August 10th will be the next podcast. Also, follow us all on Twitter. You can find GloriousKev at GloriousKev. That's GloriousKev. You can find Xaiphen at XaiphenUp. That's XAIPHENUP. You can find Lila Rose at Lila Rose, and that's LIALAHROSE. And you can find myself at Mortiel, the person who doesn't have a long, complicated name, MORTIEL. We're going to get signed off here for the night, guys. You have a good one. We'll see you next week, I hope. And Xaiphen disappears from the screen like a creeper.
Bye.
So,
I was supposed to be
hot take, what I'm reading here on Twitter, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is confirmed to be very similar to Sekiro.
No, it's not.
It is the Dark Souls of Star Wars games. You heard it from GameSpot first. It must be big facts.
All that is that they're just trying to make it seem like the game isn't just another third-person action-adventure game with stealth elements, which is what it actually
third-person action-adventure game with stealth elements and microtransactions.
Yep. Oh, and you know the microtransactions will be in there. It's EA. They can't help themselves.
After what